Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in this video, we're going to be going over a little bit of some Ravens off-season news. And it has to do with Nelson Agholor. We just re-signed him to a 1 year extension. And I like the move. He was pretty solid for us last year. He caught a lot of important passes that go overlooked. He was very important in the short game as well as the intermediate route game. And he had strong hands the majority of the time. Aside from the Steelers game, everybody's hands were just off that game. But I really like the move. Obviously we're expecting the Ravens to maybe go after a receiver in free agency, maybe a Mike Evans, maybe a Michael Pittman, you know, maybe a DJ Shark, or maybe they'll go for a receiver in the draft. But we expect the Ravens maybe add one more guy to the receiving room. But I like the move. Our receiving core is shaping up to be solid again. Hopefully everything with Zay, is good. It'll end up looking like Zay, Bateman, which me and you still believe he has a lot of talent, and him and Lamar should just lock in this offseason and really get that chemistry going. But Zay, Bateman, you know. Depending on if we get a wide receiver in the draft, I would say they'd be the wide receiver three. But if we get a free agent wide receiver, maybe they'll become the wide receiver two or one. And then there's Aguilar. And then, maybe we'll keep a guy like Tylan Wallace or Devin Duvernay, but more so with the kick and punt returns. But before I pass it to you, I just want to, just say his stats. He had 35 receptions, 381 yards and four touchdowns, as well as averaging 10 yards per reception.
You
So
sure those aren't
obviously
Odell stats?
they're almost identical. But obviously those stats don't scream out, top wide receiver play. And just like Jared mentioned, they're very, very not far off from Odell stats, which is disappointing on our end. But he was good for us. Sometimes stats don't tell the whole picture. And if you watched our games, he made some important catches. So what do you think about this signing?
Yeah, a good wide receiver, a good wide receiver. That's not like Mike Tyson on here. A good wide receiver three signing, or maybe four, depending on what his role is going to be in next year if we sign another receiver. A good depth guy. Played good ball versus the Bengals when OBJ went down week two. He didn't play good ball versus the Steelers though, but nobody did that game. Remember?
Yeah,
I believe he had the first touchdown of the game. In the Texans playoff game. He had that crazy catch versus the Bengals, Thursday Night Football, where he made that flip into the end zone.
yeah,
You had that big touchdown versus the Bengals again in week two over the shoulder throw from Lamar.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think it was another play, if I'm not mistaken. But there's not a lot of plays you can think about, but the fact that he's our wide receiver four, and we can still remember some plays he made, that shows the impact that he made on this team. Another play that goes under the radar that a lot of people probably don't know about is he noticed tendencies with the Ram safeties on the Lamar to the Lamar and Zay play right before it. He noticed if he goes on an out route, it would leave Zay wide open for the end zone. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what he did. He noticed that he called the play pretty much on that game-winning drive, or the game-tying drive, I should say. Or actually, it was at the time a game-winning drive until the Rams tied it, but Nelson Agholor, diverted the safeties another way so that Zay Flowers can get wide open. That's a veteran move. A lot of guys are meat guys in this league. When it comes to receivers, so not a lot of guys are willing to be a distraction for another receiver to get open. And to see Aguilar, step up in the big moment like that, we needed that win. At home versus the Rams, a playoff team not at the time, but wound up being a playoff team. To continue ourselves in the number one seed race at the time. That's important. To have on our team. So he's gonna mentor a guy like Zay as long as everything is fine. Legally with him. Probably tell another receiver. The draft not to do something like that. And to just kind of mentor them. Aguilar's kind of been slandered in his career for having drops in his career, but he really had a solid season for us. So I really like the signing. I really like the signing.
Yeah, and it just shows how, he wants to be here. He saw how special, our season was last year, and he saw how special the team overall was, and he just wants to come back. So that's another thing you have to commend about him. And just a quick just a quick observation. We lost 17-10 3 times this past season, which I thought was kind of weird, so, hopefully we just got to avoid that score, going into next year. But yeah, going back to Nelson, he's just a guy that wants to be here. You don't really get that a lot, when it comes from, off season. Guys usually want money and they want to go places where they'll get more money, but he wants to stay here, and continue what we didn't finish, this past season. And I gotta respect it. So, um, that's pretty much what I
Right.
gotta say about Nelson. He's just gonna
Right. If
be a
if
Baltimore Raven. Yeah.
if OBJ wants that type of contract, we can sign him back too. But OBJ
Oh
probably
yeah.
wants all those bonuses and stuff and crap. But um, do you think that this signing kind of spells the goodbye or wave away, as OBJ?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, I really feel like that's up to OBJ, and honestly, in my head, I don't see him staying. I feel like he's gonna want to go somewhere where he'll get a little bit more production, because he realizes that he's, kind of at the tail end of his career. I'm pretty sure he wants to have, at least maybe 1 or 2 more seasons where he gets to 1,000 yards receiving, maybe has like, 6, 7 touchdowns. I don't think he gets that here with the Ravens, honestly. I mean, unless he's guaranteed that by Munkin. But when you're coming somewhere and you only get 35 receptions and barely over 500 yards, you're gonna want to go somewhere else where you have more opportunity. So I don't see OBJ coming back, but I believe he respects the Ravens organization a lot. It really seems like he loved Lamar, he loved his time here. I mean, heck, he even said this was the best team he's been on. So I feel the respect from him a lot. But I can see us going in separate ways.
Right. So something I wanted to bring up, this is kind of transitioning past the Aguilar stuff. Me and TJ here are very happy with that signing. Good veteran guy. For the locker room. We're probably gonna have a lot of young guys next year. With Zay, hopefully Zay, Rashad Bateman, and whoever. Maybe we bring in somebody like maybe Pittman. Maybe you bring in Pittman. Obviously if we sign Evans, he's not gonna lead leadership from Nelson Aguilar. But if we bring in maybe a guy on the draft, we really got to do our draft research this year. I'm gonna try to maybe bring someone on or just try to do this thing ourselves, But anyways, I've seen that the Ravens have been favored for running back Derrick Henry.
Oh yeah.
Um, I've seen them also be favored maybe for Saquon Barkley. But how do you feel about these rumors for running backs? Do you like our running back room? Do you think getting a guy like Derrick Henry is kind of useless? And I'll share my my thoughts afterwards.
My opinion is going to differ a lot from a lot of Ravens fans. Um, I don't think we should go after Derrick Henry, and no disrespect to Derrick Henry. He showed last season he still is one of the top running backs, but he's also getting up there in age, and that's one thing we've learned um ever since guys like, Le'Veon Bell, and a couple other running backs got their contracts. Running back is one of the most replaceable positions in NFL. You don't need a top five running back to be good. Look at the Chiefs. They've never had one, besides Pacheco, but I wouldn't consider him top five. But anyway, you get the deal. They haven't had a top running back like that. They're still able to win Super Bowls. Same thing with the Patriots. I would much rather see us, maybe get a guy like Braylon Allen or Blake Corum in the draft and use that, money or cap space to go after a wide receiver, for Lamar or O lineman. That's what I would rather much see because what's the point of having a Derrick Henry if you're not going to use him and your O line can't block? You know what I'm saying? So I would much rather see us draft running back in the draft and go after receiver, O lineman, free agency or trade.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I mean, if we can bring him in on the right price, like if he's coming in asking like, oh, I want 4 years, $40 million, whatever, I'm like, no, hell no. But if it's like a 2 year deal, something reasonable, 10 million maybe, that seems like a lot still. But um, maybe even less than that. Like, let's get him for free, like. But no, I mean, in all seriousness though, I know he's probably going to want a little bit of money. He understands the running back market isn't that high. We've seen guys like Dalvin Cook get cut, from the Vikings after they had a really good season, So, um, I kind of am with you on that. Let's get a running back in the draft. Um, honestly, if I had to be honest with you, bro, I'd like us to get Pittman just for the fact that that means we can draft offensive linemen in the draft, like draft tackle, because I can't deal another year with Ronnie Stanley. I can't. I just cannot watch him get blown right by some rando on the Chiefs or whatever. They're gonna draft some guy named freaking Delufus Kufus, and then he's gonna completely blow by Ronnie Stanley in the AFC Championship game and get Lamar strip sacked, or yeah, it's just he let Ant Man go right by him, So it's just embarrassing at this point, watching him play. And I don't want to drill him too hard because you know you know he has dealt with a lot in his career injury wise, really in the latter end. Excuse me. But you know, I hope that he comes back to form next year if we don't wind up cutting him. But cutting him looks way too probable at this point. And I'm really down for getting rid of him and getting somebody in the draft, So my ideal offseason would be draft running back, like how you said, let Mitchell come back fully healthy, maybe resign Edwards so you can have a guy for the goal line. And then get some cap space by getting rid of Ronnie, restructuring Marlon, extending Ricard, or whatever, and then drafting tackle in the first round. I'd keep Moses around for one more year, see what he can do, health wise, because I don't think Falele is going to be ready next year. I don't know if Falele will ever be ready, but I think a lot of people are excited for the left guard position to be Andrew Voorhees' position.
No,
Obviously he had that injury last year that prevented him from playing last season. So maybe I don't want to see Ben Cleveland there. Oh, and we gotta extend Zeitler too. So, we gotta before we find a replacement for him. Probably, I think next year or one of the next 2 years is gonna be his last seasons, in my opinion. And then Morgan Moses is probably the same. So we need to find the replacements pretty soon. So I think it'd be most important to find the blind side protection for Lamar, and then look for the replacements afterwards. But meaning for Zeitler and Moses, because Voorhees might be there next year for left guard. So that's my opinion. That's how I would do it. Like I said, get Pittman, draft tackle, draft running back, um, and cut Stanley.
yeah, I mean, and just an alternate version. I would also like to see us, honestly, I would like to see us get rid of JK. I would like to see us get rid of Justice because I feel like Keaton Mitchell can do everything he can do. I would like to see us maybe get rid of Stanley. All three of those, gives us a lot more cap space, a lot more money to spend. I wouldn't mind, I wouldn't mind bringing in Derrick Henry at a reasonable price, and we have Keaton Mitchell, Derrick Henry, and then maybe we can still, I don't know, let's just say maybe we can draft a guy like Keon Coleman, or just add some more tackles, to help. That's like my 2A offseason, but my 1A is the one I mentioned earlier, but I wouldn't mind
Right.
that also.
Right. Me and TJ probably sit here one night and mock up a perfect off season for us. How we would like to see this off season work. We'll probably be off camera working on it and then present it here. So that's a video for down the line.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I heard Marlon is a name that's been thrown around when it comes to maybe letting go of him or you know
I
restructuring.
wouldn't. I see.
I
Restructuring,
wouldn't know. I
yes.
would.
I would say restructure, yes. You can't cut him because then you're creating too many
Yeah,
holes on your team. That I
yeah,
mean, you're not going to get everything in the draft. Like you need to hit on your first round pick, but everything after that's fair game.
yeah.
So I think that really the first two rounds, in my opinion, maybe even three. I would say like the first two rounds definitely hit those picks. Three, four, you want to hit those, but it's unlikely. But you can still get some good players. Five, six, seven, hopefully you hit on one.
Yeah.
So that's the way I see the draft. Hopefully we draft all our replacements in every round, but we haven't seen that yet. And we also got to give time for a draft class to develop. We've
Oh yeah.
seen these EDC classes, start off slow but figure it out towards the latter part of their, of course, when they want money. But
Yeah, yeah. That's of course.
so let's just let them figure it out. Let's not draft a guy like Rocky Sin though, and or not Rocky Sin. Let's not draft a guy like Caillou Blue Kelly or whatever his name was, and then cut him, in preseason, or Jalen Armour Davis or Demarion Williams, like trash. So maybe it's not the best idea to draft corner. We need to sign a corner or something because we cannot draft a corner to save our lives. Maybe Brandon Stevens, but he wasn't a corner.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be interesting to see what we do in the draft, and and it's also interesting seeing the mock drafts that people make. Maybe we can make one ourselves, but
Yeah.
that's all I got. There's a lot of things that can happen this offseason. There's a lot of things that I want to happen, but that's all I can think of. Is anything you got left?
No, I'm done. I don't know anything else to say.
Sure, you sound like you was
I'm
thinking
saying
of
I
it.
was trying to think of something. I had something on my mind, but I forgot. So I'll probably bring it up next video.
Yeah, but let us know what you guys would like to see this offseason. Do you want to see Derrick Henry come to the team? Do you want us, see us get a guy like Blake Corum, Braylon Allen, Keon Coleman? What do you guys want to see, the Ravens add this offseason? Let us know in the comments. But I think that's all we got for you guys today. Make sure to check out, our social medias, our Instagram, our Twitter, our TikTok. I didn't mess it up this time. Make sure to also check out our second channel, Casual Cinema. We're going to be seeing a movie soon. Maybe Madam Web. No, I don't know. So I'm just saying, but maybe we'll see a movie soon. We'll
Yeah,
feed
we're
you guys.
drunk,
But that's all we got for you guys today. Birds of Prey Sports, TJ and Jared, and we're out.
bro.